Sorry about the shortcoming, but good evening, all. My name is Karthik, and today I'll be joined by Anthi Paul, and we are the host for today. Welcome, one and all, to the second episode of Date with an Entrepreneur,
Hello,
Season 2 at
Karthik.
IEDC.
Hello, everyone. Sorry for that. We'll be beginning at 7 p.m. Good evening, all. My name is Anthi Paul, and with me is Karthik.
Hey, I'm Karthik.
And we will be your hosts for today. I welcome each and every one of you to the second episode of Date with an Entrepreneur, Season 2, organized by Christ College of Engineering, IEDC of Christ College of Engineering, Irnalakuda. Christ College of Engineering, which was established in 2015, is a new entrant in the field of professional education providers. The college is managed by the CMI congregation of Devamata Province, Thrissur, and is a part of Christ Educational and Charitable Trust, Irnalakuda. I extend my heartfelt welcome and gratitude to our beloved Executive Director, Father John Palyakara, our Honorable Joint Director, Father Joy Payapalli, and the captain of our ship, the Principal, Dr. Sajeev John. Special appreciation and greetings to the Nodal Officer of our IEDC cell, Mr. Rahul Manohar, and the CEO of IEDC CCE, Mr. Thomas Sibi. I also extend my heartfelt welcome to all the Kerala Startup Mission officials present.
The Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development Cell of IEDC aims to inculcate and strengthen the motivation necessary to develop knowledge and skills among members of the IEDC to promote upcoming ventures that could change the world tomorrow. We aim to impart basic managerial knowledge and understanding to students, which will help them formulate effective, innovative, profitable projects in the future.
Date with an Entrepreneur, brought to you by
projects, yeah.
IEDC of Christ College of Engineering, provides you with this platform thrice a month, where each time you get to meet a new entrepreneur and get to know about his or her roller coaster ride of success and failures, hopefully influencing you to follow your passion.
Our esteemed guest for today is driven by a mission to see better representation of women in STEM or technology. Her purpose lies in building scientific literacy in children and preparing them for a future of seen and unseen challenges. We welcome Dr. Sarita Menon, who gives impeccable presentations and TEDx talks that are eye-openers and will undoubtedly inspire younger generations to take life and career decisions without being handicapped by the backgrounds or lifestyle. She is a scientist and also the founder and editor-in-chief of a magazine called Smo. I think HuffPost said it best, and they said, this magazine is for girls who apologetically love science. We welcome you, ma'am, and time from your busy schedule to be with us. Thank you for
welcome, ma'am.
Hi.
Hello.
How's everybody?
Going well, ma'am.
Good. I'm excited. This was nice to get in touch with IEDC. And it's nice that such initiatives are going on in Kerala and in India. It's really nice to see you guys have the support and resources. I'm happy to see that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We are much more delighted as well. So since you have joined us now, what do you think is the first question that we are going to ask you?
Ooh, first question. What time is it here? No, I'm just kidding. It's, no, I have no idea. Just let's have a fun conversation. I didn't really plan for anything specific, so just throw your questions at me and I'll try to answer it as best as I can.
That's amazing. So how about we talk about your college life? Is that fine?
Sure. Wow. That feels like I don't want to date myself, but it was a long time ago. So I always love talking to college kids because it brings me those memories of college life, and I have to tell you, they are the best years of your life, so make the most of it. But college life for me was pretty standard, you know. I got my bachelor's in chemistry, and then I'm like, okay, now what? Again, after 12, it was either engineering or getting into medical school. I was not too keen on engineering. Mainly because I only saw mostly men getting into engineering, and I was like, I don't know if and I'm a little bit more of a creative. I like to sing and dance and theater, and I was like, what am I going to do in engineering there? But now that I know about engineering and just how creative and imaginative that field can be, I wish I had known that, and I probably would have been an engineer today. But I didn't get the marks I needed to get into medical school, so it was science. I had to get into science, and I loved science as a child. So bachelor's in chemistry, and then I got my master's. I wrote the IIT entrance exam. So they have a 2-year biotechnology program. So they had an entrance exam at IIT Bombay. It's called Mumbai now. And then so I wrote it, I got in, I did my 2 years. So that's pretty much college life for me. Ferguson College in Pune was where I got my bachelor's, and IIT Bombay was where I got my master's. So that's pretty much college life. I was a very straight student, always just studying, went to college, came back home, and yeah, I do regret that. But otherwise, it was fun. I met a lot of fun people. They had some amazing teachers. Learned a lot. Yeah, got an education. That's all I can say.
That's wonderful to hear, ma'am. As you know, we all are college students, and mostly we all are the BTech students right now. So hearing this will inspire us a lot. That's so true.
Good. I would say that education, attending classes should not be your only goal. This is me speaking on the other side, right? That is what I did pretty much. Attended colleges, focused on my grades. A little too much. I would encourage all of you to explore other opportunities. And if you are in a college atmosphere, you have so many opportunities. You can participate in, such sort of an event. IEDC seems to be such an amazing organization. They're doing such amazing work. It gives you a look into a world that is not just academics. It teaches you a lot of other skills that you will find invaluable as you go into the job market or you decide you want to do something on your own. So these kind of soft skills, they are called, but they are super important. And I feel they are important, and you gain them only outside of a classroom. You have to attend seminars, you have to talk to people, you have to maybe go and get into theater. You might want to get into sports, those kind of things. So just involve yourself a lot during the 4 years of BTech that you're doing. But at the same time, you have to get a degree. Education is important. So you need that as well. So it's a balancing act. And I think all of you probably are doing a good job there.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And you're right. We actually need more exposure. And our IDC cell is legit providing us that.
Good. I'm happy to hear that.
So since you work and are driven by a mission to see a better representation.
I'm also a person who doesn't.
There seems to be a lag.
Continue, Karthik, continue.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess there's a small lag. So I was telling, I am one of those people who I think you were describing when you said you should be part of a lot of communities. So yeah, what kind of communities were you part of and clubs were you part of in college?
That's what I was coming to. I did not do any of those things. And I do regret that. There was, I used to live in a apartment complex. So we had a small group of kids, and this was way back in school. So the only exposure to theater I had was when we organized the community events, and I participated in theater. But those were important because it basically gave me the confidence to stand up in front of a group of people and talk and not be shy. Those kind of things are important. As in college, I don't think I did really. Oh, I do remember. I did participate in a show. It was put together in IIT Bombay by a group of Malayalis. We had a Malayali committee there, organization, and they did some skit for Onam. And all I had to do was wear a sari and say one line. And I was like, yes, I'll do that. So that probably was the only thing I was doing. Other than that, graduate school, when I came to the US, I was part of the PhD graduate student committee. So that gave me exposure where I was sitting in faculty meetings, and I was talking to, I was bringing student problems to the faculty and trying to figure out a way. So that was probably one of the useful committees and groups that I joined. But that wasn't until I came here for graduate school. So yeah.
So, since we're on the topic of how you developed your confidence, how was it giving a TED talk, and like what was the process behind getting to it?
Oh yeah, TED Talk, that was something. But it's so when you decide you want to do something in life, you have to. They say set a goal. For me, it was not as much as a goal as much as it was like a bucket list item. I used to watch all these inspiring talks, like, there's these lists of TED Talks that are my favorites, and I can keep watching them. And it was always on my bucket list. Like it would be a good experience. So once that thought got into my head, I then started looking at, okay, if I have to do that, what do I need to do? What are the things I need to? So I had to have, it was a very much of a planned decision. Okay, these are the things I need to do. So especially for TEDx, which are more local events, you just have to have an idea worth sharing. That's what they say. So it needs to be something that's your own, and it needs to be an idea that you can speak about for 18 minutes. That's the time. So it's not a whole lot of time. So your idea has to be crystal clear, and you have to know how to deliver it. They, of course, give you a little bit of training on how to speak. But there are a lot of local events there. I'm sure India also. Yes, there are a lot of local TEDx events in India. You just have to apply. They have a call for speakers. You apply. So I applied to a few places, nothing too seriously. And then when the call came that, okay, you're selected. And so that's pretty much the whole process of it. You have to first want to do it and then figure out how to do it.
We, like the IEDC, did go through your YouTube, like the TEDx talk, and we did enjoy it. Like, we enjoyed watching it. It was really fun. It seemed like you were having a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's always how I want to talk or even interact. I don't really prepare anything. I just speak my mind.
Yeah.
That's great, ma'am. So since we are on the topic of your TEDx talk, in it you had specified that you work as a better representation of women in STEM, and that women in STEM have reduced since 1984. So could you give us a brief gist about what you said in the talk?
So in the talk, my main focus of the talk was to give an understanding of how what we see or what we want for ourselves depends on so much of what we see around us. And especially for women, we don't see a lot of representation. We don't see a lot of people doing things that we wish to do. For example, simple example, if I ask you to name a scientist, the first name that will pop in all of your heads is going to be Einstein or Newton, right? It's never a female scientist. And yet, the list of female scientists, if you just dig a little deeper, it's amazing. Nobody says Marie Curie. She won 2 Nobel Prizes. Nobody talks about it. So that's the exposure, right? So it's not as much as there were not successful, brilliant women. It's just that they never got the exposure. And so this continues. People in the media don't put the spotlight on these people, on the women, or even underrepresented. Anybody who is not in the main media spotlight, the population of people who look like them feel like, oh, there's nobody like us in this field. Maybe this is not a good field for us. And so you automatically self-select out of something. So the idea of It's More is, let's put these underrepresented people on the cover. Let's show the world that there are people like you who are doing all these amazing things. In this case, I just focus on STEM because you have to niche down when you're building something. So STEM is something that I'm passionate about, and so the overarching theme is, if you want to be like somebody, you have to see them, and if they look like you and they're doing amazing things, it inspires you to say, oh, she can do it. She looks like me. She's had experiences like me. She's grown up like me. And yet look at where she is. I'm sure I can do it too. So that was the whole idea behind the talk, and trying to inspire kids to say that you have to set your own path, but don't fall for stereotypes, because a lot of stereotypes, even though they may have a little bit of truth to them, they don't always define, okay, just because women don't get into engineering or majority of girls don't get into it doesn't mean I don't want to get into engineering. You have to do it because that's what you want to do. It needs to be something you want to do. And for that, better representation helps. If you see more female engineers who are running businesses, you're like, wow, she can do it. I'm sure I can do it. I love engineering. I want to get into it, right? So that was the whole idea behind the talk. So just don't fall for stereotypes. Don't fall for what everybody says. Oh, but everybody's been doing this way. Why are you trying to do something different? Why not? That was the question I was going to ask.
That's right, ma'am. It's all about looking outside the box and then choosing what you want to do, right? Yeah, yes. That's right. Thank you so much, ma'am. And since you have been inspiring many young minds with your talks and even this meet in general, so who was someone that inspired you to start talking? Talking for TEDx. And
so this is a very interesting question, because here I am trying to put women on covers and saying, hey, these women are amazing and they inspire you. And the thing is, I didn't even know about these people. It's when I started this publication, I met these people, we interviewed them, we read their stories, and the inspiration came afterwards. I was like, if people like her are doing such amazing things, who else is out there, right? So it's that knowledge. So for me, I would say the people who inspire me, they are inspire me in many different ways, right? My parents inspired me to be better parent myself. My friends inspire me to be a good friend, right? My husband inspires me to do best at what I'm doing. He's supportive. My kids, so there's a lot of inspiration. When it comes to work, I look towards other people, other women, other entrepreneurs, anybody who has experiences like me, or anybody who has had a story that is very inspiring. So it's hard for me to say I have this one person who inspires me in every way. So it's a little bit, it's a lot of people who will inspire you. And that's the way it should be. There's not one person. So I would say everybody I have grown up with, lived with, have experiences with, they've inspired me in ways I probably don't even realize, but they have completely affected my life for the better. And that's where I will leave it at. So inspiration there's too many for me to name. That's what I would say.
That's right, ma'am. Even in all walks of life, many people do inspire us. You're right.
Since you did speak about your publication, I did work behind the scenes of some magazines, and I know how much work and effort goes into taking it from just an idea to print. So what kept you going with S'more? And what inspired you to go along with S'more till the end and keep publishing it even today?
Yeah. So the model of S'more is very different, because when I decided to start this publication, I had no background of publication. I had no idea how to even put something like this out. And when I went looking for, how magazines get published, I got completely scared, because it was typically magazines are run by big publishing houses. They are $1 million budgets, and they are all in New York. And so again, that was the stereotype. You have to have a big swanky office in New York to run a publishing house, and only those people put out magazines. And then I was like, there has to be something else. So I went digging a little bit more, and I came across this term. They're called indie publishers. They're called independent publishers. These are publishers who have an idea, they publish it by themselves, they put it together by themselves. So I was like, that is something I can do. And so the idea was, I need to make a magazine. I had to do that. And then I figured out how to go about doing that. And that is a lesson in itself, right? If you are motivated enough that you want to do it, don't restrict yourself to what's available to you on the first page of Google, because that's all there is. Always dig deeper, always find what else is there. And I'm sure you can do something with whatever you're passionate about, and you will figure a way out. So for me, it was, I can do independent publishing, but I don't have the money to do it. Where am I going to run a big publishing? They take thousands of dollars to print and publish and and you want people to buy them because you're setting up a business. So you need to make revenue flow, you need to have cash flow. So the whole business plan had to be figured out. So the initial challenges were like, no money, don't know how to put a magazine together, how am I going to do it? So we broke it down. Okay, no money problem. Okay, can we ask money from people? I mean, most of the people I knew were in my situation. You don't have that. I didn't have any super rich friends I could take money from. But I was like, okay, there is a platform where if you share an idea, people will support you and they will say, okay, I'll put my money down for you. So that is the crowdfunding platform. And the time when S'more launched, crowdfunding was just getting started. So it was in the very early stages. I read about another magazine up in London that had started their publication using Kickstarter. And that's where I got into it. I explored it. I talked to people and I realized, I don't need to have money to start a business. I can actually, if I have an idea, I can put it out there, share it with people, and anybody who thinks it's a good idea and wants a piece of it, they will then pay me for putting this together. And that's how the whole magazine was launched. It was launched on a crowdfunding platform. And the money we had calculated was enough for us to get started. And then the additional revenue would come from subscription. So that was the whole plan about it. And so when you ask about how this is put together, it is a completely remote publication. We have no offices. So if you want an example of how businesses also can be run, this is an example of how to do it. We don't have an office. Everybody on the team works remotely. Because it is a publication, it is content. So you just need writers, you need illustrators, you need designers, and we have people spread out all over the world. So it does require exceptional organization skills to put it all together, but we managed to do it issue after issue. And we are now going to print our 22nd issue this winter. We did scale it down from 6 to 4, mainly post-COVID, and just to adjust to the challenges. It did get a little challenging towards last year, so we had to, what they call in business terms, we had to do a slight pivot. And so we went from 6 issues to 4 issues, but we increased the number of pages. And during this whole time, it was remote, freelancers, and we just put this issue together. So we have a big team, but they're all remote. They all do other things. So for a lot of them, it is a passion project. They do it because they believe in the project. They love contributing to the project. And we've had people who are with us for the last 4 years. So that's your long reply to your question. But
congrats on having that many published books, and why the name though? Are you just fan of the marshmallow on a stick?
Yeah, this was, naming your company is always such an experience. You make these long lists and you ask people and you're like, I don't know which one to do. It was a lot of figuring out. And then for me, I didn't want to call it the science magazine. I didn't want to make it sound nerdy. I wanted it to be fun, because that's the way I look at science, and that's pretty much the way I look at education in general, learning in general, not education, just learning. You should be a lifelong learner. You should learn all the time, even post-college. But for me, it has to be fun. That's the idea. And in the US, kids love anything to do with marshmallows. And this was my experience because I'm also a science educator. I take science classes and camps, and we do science shows for kids. And anytime we bring out the bag of marshmallows, the kids go crazy. So they are just completely in love. So for them, marshmallows equals to a fun science activity that they can do. So that was always on the back of my mind. And marshmallow was just too big a name to fit on the cover. So you're like, okay, what is another version of marshmallow that we could use? And that's how S'more happened. And very beautifully, I am justifying it as saying, S'more just means science more. So that's how it is more. So that's where we are. That's how we figured it out.
So I guess you were inspired by children and to then inspire them in a way.
Yeah, they inspire me every day. It's funny, just the kind of questions they ask you. You just have to hang out with a few kids, and they will. Just the kind of questions they ask is amazing. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know what your answer to your question is. They stump me sometimes.
Yeah, like the sheer amount of questions they sometimes come up with.
Oh yeah,
really amusing. Yeah. So, like, I guess it might be a little personal, but do you have any children, and like, what do they do?
I have 2 kids. My older son, Ayush, he is 12, and I have a daughter, Anushka, she's 9.
So they must be inspiring you right now, like with your life in general.
They're in school right now, but yes, they do inspire me. They drive me crazy, but we love them, and they're always up to something.
I'm sure they'll do like something really great like you.
I don't know about that. For us, the way we raise them is just do what you love to do, but make sure you are really, really good at it. So it could be drawing, it could be arts, it could be science, it could be medicine, it could be anything. But just make sure you are exceptional at it, because we are living in a world where there's too many people, and unless you are good and you have a way to differentiate yourself, it's going to be hard. So that's what I tell them. And my kids always are like, I want to do something like her, and I want to do something like him. I want to be like everybody. But we always tell them, no, don't be like everybody. Our thing in the house is be weird. Like, just be different. If people call you crazy, that's good, because crazy runs the world nowadays, right? People notice you. People with crazy ideas are the ones that are running the world. So don't be basic, be crazy. That's the way I would say.
Yeah, we'll definitely try to keep the session in that manner. We'll try to keep it crazy and fun.
Yes.
So what comfort zones have you had to surpass to reach where you are now?
My God, so many. Like if I hadn't, so after my master's in Bombay, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a job by then, and my parents were like, oh, PhD, that sounds like long. When are you going to get married? So it's those kind of questions. And when you grow up in India or anywhere, those are legitimate questions. So there was always this idea of what now? I had no idea what I wanted to do. Most people say, oh, they know since they are in college that what they want to do with their life. But for me, I was absolutely clueless on what I wanted to do with my life. The only thing I knew was I have a good education. And so I can take that and do whatever I want with it, as long as, people need somebody with a science background, I'm there. And you always need people with a science background. So I'm like, I'll find some work. I just didn't know where it was. So I was quite open to opportunities. I did not have a set idea of what I wanted to do. But my comfort zone was like, if I had to really do something with my life, I had to, I did not find any opportunities in India that I wanted to, that I liked to. And so the idea of, I have to leave India and come to a completely foreign country where I didn't know anybody. Thankfully, I knew the language, so that was about it. And I was going into a university. So that was a comfort zone I had to push myself out. More than me, I think it was my parents who were worried. And so I had to bring them out of their comfort zone. But other than that, the second comfort zone was after graduate school, everybody who were in our batch or anybody before or after me, typically after you do a PhD in cancer biology, the next step would be you do a postdoc and then you find a job in a pharmaceutical company as a research scientist, or you go on and become a PhD, or you become a professor in a university. Those were the only two options. And I didn't like either of those options. I just could not see myself running a lab, having PhD students under me. It was just not exciting for me. So that was a comfort zone I had to push myself out. I could say, yeah, I mean, I don't like it, but it's there. I could just do it. And for the rest of my life, that's a typical mentality of like, you have a job and you are set for life. You're settled in life, right? That's what everybody wants. But for me, it was like, yeah, I have a job, but it's not going to be fun for me. And it has to be fun. Otherwise, I'm not interested. So that was a comfort zone I had to push myself out to explore opportunities. I was never happy with the options I was given. So I was always looking for more. That's, I think, two places where I had to push myself off the comfort zone. And I would say anybody, to all you, I can't call you children. You're all children only. But all you kids, you have to always, don't settle for the options you have. Always question yourself. Is this the best I have? I'm sure there are more opportunities. Always ask that before you settle down into what you want to do.
That's right, ma'am. We have to actually come out of our comfort zones and to explore more in life.
So since you're like, we were in the we are talking about comfort zones.
See the participant, but I hope there is a good representation of women in this group. If not, I think the college and the committee needs to do something to inspire and encourage more girls to join these committees. Because for a lot of women, it's not being welcomed into these places. It's because most of these places tend to be so full of pretty much dominated by men, it can be a little intimidating for women. It's a little bit like, I don't know, I'm going to be the only girl there. I'm not comfortable in that place. So creating that sort of a welcoming atmosphere, and especially for women, I would say to not worry about these things. Just keep going. If it is something that you are really looking to explore, if entrepreneurship is something you are looking to explore, join. There are just so many resources out there. There are so many women in STEM groups. There are female entrepreneurs groups. There are female founder groups. So there are a lot of mentorship opportunities that young girls especially can take advantage of. And I think they should take advantage of because, again, as I always say, you don't know what you don't know and what you don't see. So unless you go looking for these people, looking for encouragement, looking for options, you will not find them. And if you don't find them, you will be automatically assuming that this is it and I don't have anything else to contribute, whereas that cannot be further from the truth. You have a lot to give and you have to find the right community and the right people, and sky's the limit after that. You can really be encouraged to do whatever it is that you are setting your mind to.
I think that my college and like the IEDC in general is trying to get more women into it. Like they do have some positions that are like specifically meant for women.
Okay.
So I guess they are kind of doing a good job with that.
Very good. Very good. I'm happy to hear that.
So if you could change something about the world currently to ensure that women are empowered, or like the minorities in general are empowered, what would you do?
Oh, I wish there was just a simple answer to that. This is, when you think about it, it is a very scary thing, right? How can one person do anything? How can we affect change? And the automatic response to that is like, I'll just let it go as it is, right? I don't have to worry about it. It's not my problem to solve. But turns out if everybody thinks like that, then nothing gets done. So instead of thinking, oh, how do I change the world? The best way, or the way I would think about it, is how do I change my world? So in my world is much smaller, right? I have my friends, I have my family, I have my community. So that's my world. And right now you can have a bigger world. You have a voice. You have social platforms that you can actually have a say and join communities that are working towards change. So if you are looking to inspire others, if you're trying to make equality or trying to make sure your community is a little, you're addressing biases, you're addressing, you're making sure women have equal opportunities. You can start with your own community, sign up for a local group and make sure there are more women in these committees. Even the women in your household, make sure you as men are contributing equally to the share of the house. That is one way to ensure equality. Like, it starts at home. Everything starts at home. If you have children, you make sure you are communicating the right language to them. Don't go about saying, oh, girls are not supposed to do that. Or if you hear somebody say that, make sure you stand up for that. Make sure you say, oh, that's not really true. There are a lot of girls who are doing just as well. And, inspire the women in your community, in your family. And change will start from there. And if enough of us do it, then, that's problem solved.
Mm-hmm. Ma'am, just like you said, there's also a saying in Malayalam that goes something like, the ocean is made up of many drops. So, yes. If everyone puts effort, we will definitely have a better tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So, ma'am, knowing what you know now, you have done many TED Talks and inspired young minds. So is there something that you could have done differently when you were first starting out, if you knew what you know now?
Oh, yeah. So many things. And that's why I do these mentorship talks, because I was like, there are a lot of things I have learned that I will pass on to you guys, because hopefully you guys won't at least remember to do that. I would say, even in college, as I mentioned briefly, I did not really participate in a lot of these extracurricular activities. That was one thing that I know now I should have participated, because at the end of the day, they do help in learning skills like, if you are fundraising for something, that is a very important skill in convincing people to give you money. That's sales and marketing, right? If you are in charge of design, that is an important skill. You are learning Photoshop skills. You are learning how to communicate your ideas and turn it into beautiful design. So if you don't have the opportunities to do these things, it is a long road for you. If you do get into entrepreneurship, or if you have a job that requires these things, it gives you an edge up. It gives you an advantage because you've already done this in college. And college is the best time to do all this. So the way I look at it right now is, I'm not saying it in a way, like money or fame, those are not the things that are in your life right now. And you should not even worry about needing that right now. What you should be focusing on, and what you actually have a lot of, is time. You have time right now. So make the most of it, right? So that is something that we don't really realize when we are in college or when we are young and we don't have responsibilities. That is, I'm sure that's not the case. Everybody has lives and everybody has responsibilities. But relatively, in college, our lives are quite protected, and you have the opportunity, and you have that safety net to take risks. You can do a lot of things that, if it didn't work out, it's fine. It's not the end of your life. There's not like going to be disaster. You're not going to be out of your house or homeless because you made a bad decision, right? So, but when you grow up, every decision you make, everything you decide to do, can have very serious consequences. So when you're young, it's okay to, do a little experiment, try out a small business here and there. If it doesn't work, no problem, but you have learned a lot during the process. The other thing I would say is build your community. In college, what you have is, this big alumni network. And that is one thing I have noticed now, that IITs and the alumni of IIT do very, very well. They are in touch with their alumni. They are always a part of the alumni network. They are always keeping track of who's doing what, and they're following them. So if you are on LinkedIn, find your Christ College alumni, track them, see where they're going, and always build that connection. You don't want to suddenly be in the 4th year of engineering, and you're looking for a job, and then you're suddenly asking all the people on LinkedIn about job opportunities or entrepreneurship, mentorship, whatever you're looking for. You want to build that connections early on. It's just simple as a LinkedIn request saying, hi, we are from the same university. I thought I would stay in touch. And, it's a small thing, but these kind of things is something I did not do. And of course, when I was in college, I don't even think LinkedIn was there at that time. I mean, I barely started learning how to use email. So, but now you guys have a lot of these resources. You should make the best of it. Keep in touch with your colleagues. Keep in touch. Build that network. Build that community. Because when you are out in the real world, it's like an extended family. And all you have to say is, I'm a Christ College alumni, and it'll help you make connections. I have to tell you that. So make sure you are nice to all your friends, and make sure you stay in touch with everybody. That's, I think, what I would say is an advice I would give. And the other thing I would say is learn to, I know this sounds a little what, but learn to write well and learn to speak well. 2 things I would say in my daily job right now. I was like, oh, if I had just taken some writing courses, this would be a lot easier, because things get a little bit more difficult as if you're not comfortable writing, if you're not comfortable speaking. So, join a debate group, join some sort of and there's so many courses, writing courses. There are so many speaking groups that will give you that sort of an experience. So, those are some of the things I would say that knowing what I know now, these skills are important. And any tools, learn all the tools you can of your field. Because if you know this, you can say that, oh, I know Photoshop. It's not a problem. I can do this. So you are automatically become a person who has skills, and that is important.
That's right. It's all about building skills, building connections, and building communication skills, especially,
yes.
And getting more connections in alumni groups also in the college. And you've also talked about how we shouldn't be afraid to fail, and I think that's amazing.
Oh my God! Yes, absolutely. I know we grew up. I mean. Even when I was in school, and everything was about who, even in school, there was the report card day. Only the first 5 rank holders' names are on the board. And I remember I never made the board except once. And I think I was in 5th standard or 7th standard. I can't remember that. I made the board. I came in 5th. So it was such a proud moment for me, right? I was like, I came 5th and now my name is on the board. I had to make sure my parents come that time to meet the teacher. But now when I think of it, I'm like, that didn't matter at all. Nobody cares about what grade you got when you're in school. And in fact, as long as you have decent grades, you should be fine. But other than that, I would say, make connections, build everything that you can while you're in college, and have a goal for life, right? Okay, this is what I want to do in a few years. and then try to break it down. Okay, if that is what I want to do in 10 years, what kind of skills should I be learning today to make it? So maybe find other people who have done what you are doing and try to follow their path. Try to see what is it that they did that made them where they are. So be a little bit more curious about these things. Dig around. I like to read a lot of stories about people, successful people, and try to figure out how they did it. Those are some of the things you could do.
Get inspired by other stories, right?
Yes. And sometimes it's more than inspiration. It's trying to understand what is their personality like? What are their experiences? What are the skills? What is it that is making them so successful? So it's trying to identify those skills. I know there is this big, lately, all I see online is, Elon Musk wakes up at 5 a.m, so that's what makes him successful. No, that's not what makes him successful. Yes, but good habits are an important part of a successful life. Doesn't mean you have to wake up at 5 o'clock and not do anything. You have to do the work. But it's the idea that a successful life is only built on developing yourself as a human, right? So what are the things you need to develop? Always be learning, always be improving your version of yourself. And always only compete against yourself, because nobody else matters in the end. It's just you who's going to be responsible for your life and your success. So focus on yourself.
That's amazing, because our only competition is with ourselves. That's amazing. Yes. From what you said. And how do you think being an entrepreneur has turned you into such a wonderful person? Like, how has being an entrepreneur helped you?
Being an entrepreneur, so when I think about what an entrepreneur is, I feel like it's a lot like being a scientist, because when I was a scientist, when we did research in the lab, which is what I did for a good part of my life, the first thing we did is, okay, we make an observation, you do some experiments, then you analyze the results, and then you conclude the data, whatever you got, you publish it or put it out there. And that's pretty much the whole structure. So when you look at entrepreneurship, it's very similar to that. You make an observation of, there seems to be a big need for, grocery delivery at home post-COVID, right? People don't like to go to the store. They like grocery. That's an observation you have made. And then the experiment would be, you go out there and do something. I was like, okay, can I have a small startup or setup where I am delivering the groceries? So that's a small experiment. You don't have to have a lot of money for that. You can just do it as a test experiment, see how it goes. And you analyze the results. You see the data. Are people talking about it? Are they buying from you again and again? Are they asking you to deliver again and again? So that's, okay, there is a demand there. So that's what your data is telling you. And then you conclude. They're like, okay, your conclusion is, if nobody wanted it, okay, maybe there were a lot of things that were different. So you change the experimental setup and you go back in and test again. Otherwise, you say, oh, this worked really well. Now time to scale, right? So that's very similar to it. So I would say entrepreneurship has taught me a little bit, not as much as being a scientist has. Always be curious and always be, and as a scientist, the amount of experiments that you fail at, oh my God, it's like every day you work for months and months on a research project, and you only have to show a positive result or a result that works 3 times. That's all. That means there are like hundreds of times that experiment has failed. So failure is kind of part of the training you get when you are doing research. So I would say that kind of helped me be an entrepreneur, because I'm like, oh, this didn't work. Okay, how else can I figure out what else can I do to change it and make it work? So that's how I have looked at it. Other than that, I think entrepreneurship has really the whole experience has made me more appreciative of what I have. When you are on your own, it's always when you look at all the other successful stories, or like, oh, that person got 10 million in funding and they got on the cover of Forbes, or they are 30 under 30 or 40 under 40. It's very, very easy to get jealous of all these things. So like, oh, I'm putting in so much of work and nothing is happening. What is this? It's very easy to give up. But you also have to be grateful for what you have and say, this is what I have. This is what I'm doing with what I have. And always strive to, as you said, Anzi, you are only competing against yourself. So you just want to be a better version of yourself. So I think entrepreneurship has taught me to be like, it's okay. Everybody has their own struggles, their own successes, and we all have to have ours, and we have to enjoy the whole process that we are going through.
That's right. And that's a wonderful piece of advice. And I am appreciating you for achieving so much amazing things in life.
Thank you.
So now we are about to move on to the session of questions from the participants.
Okay.
And thank you so much for spending time with us once again.
Sure,
I hope you had fun, and hopefully it was crazy and fun like I did promise in the starting. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and giving us lessons about your entrepreneurship journey and your life in general. We do wish you the very best and hope to see many more great achievements from you.
Sure. Thank you.
So we'll move on to the question from
Yes, we'll have open session for the participants to ask you doubts and questions to our guests. So those 50 questions, please highlight yourself in the chat box.
First step. Good question. I'm trying to see the chat. What do you think is the first step you took, which made you who you are right now? So this is a question by Samuel Lobbins. Thank you, Samuel, for your question. Yeah, that's a good question. Because when you really look back at all the choices you have made, it's hard to pinpoint, that one step that I took, that one decision I took on May 19th, 2001. It's hard to pinpoint that. But I would say overall, everything that has pushed me out of my comfort zone has been just the decision to do it. A lot of us have I don't know the real term. It's called decision anxiety or decision paradox. Or I can't decide what it is. But when you don't have choices, or when you have too many choices, making a decision becomes really, really hard. And so what we do is, I'm not going to make a decision. I'm just going to go and continue to live the way I'm living. And that does make you miserable, but then you are putting yourself in a situation where nothing changes. So the idea would be, or what I would suggest is, make a decision, test it out. Again, like I said, as a scientist, I'm just talking about that. Test it out. You don't have to ditch your job and just suddenly say, I'm going to do a startup and put in 20 lakhs and do a business. That is not needed. You can just test something out, do it a little bit, see if it works, see if you enjoy it. I think that's the biggest thing. I might have taken the decision was, for me, it was like, am I going to have fun doing this? And if I'm going to have fun doing this, then it's worth doing it. And that, again, has been my kind of theme. If it's boring, and I tend to get bored very easily, I'll just move on. So if it doesn't interest me, I will not do it. And so the decision is, do I enjoy doing it? Will I do it if I don't get paid, although that is not a good idea because that's not how you would build a business. You don't want to do something that you don't get paid. But you should enjoy what you're doing. That's probably the first thing I would say.
Do you have any more questions? The students do have a weird society thing when they're asking questions. So like it might take a bit of time.
Oh, please, no anxiety. This is a very relaxed. So I have been a university professor. I did an adjunct faculty position, and I did not teach engineering students. I taught first year science students. So I am very much comfortable. So no question you ask is going to be awkward. I have probably heard it all.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Hi.
So, what do you think is success and happiness is?
I didn't get your first. What is?
So, what is success and what is happiness from your perspective?
Question. Yeah, this needs to be a question for some sadhu, because for me, it's everybody. Success for everybody is very different, right? For Elon Musk, success is when he lands on Mars. That's not success for me, right? For me, success is I have a business that I can run on my own terms, and I can raise my kids where I am there for them. All that is success to me. Having that balance, although it is challenging, but for me, that is success. Anything that you are satisfied with in your life. Don't measure your success by somebody else's yardstick. And I always feel very strongly about that. Your success is yours alone. What makes you happy? If you think you're successful, you're living a life that you are excited to get up every day in the morning, that is success. And if you're successful that way, then you're happy also that way. Because if you're successful based on somebody else's definition, where you have millions of dollars in your bank. So on paper, you look very successful, but you don't have the time or the energy to spend that money and enjoy it with the family that you have. I don't count that as success, and that's certainly not happiness. So I feel they say you do you. That's the way you should always live your life. Whatever makes you happy, just go for it.
Yeah, exactly, ma'am. The same. I think the same way too, ma'am.
Good.
So we have another
So what
question.
I'm reading is that happiness for you is making your children happy and waking up every day happy.
Yes, making my children happy for sure, but making myself happy. I think a lot of us, in the pursuit of keeping everybody else happy, we end up being quite miserable because you are burnt out and you are just not who you thought you would be. Because I've heard a few people say, oh, I was such a fun person when I was in college. I don't know what happened to me now. So that is what you should always never let go of your essence, never let go of your individuality, no matter where you are or who you are, because that is your true happiness. I mean, that's the way you should always look at life. Whether you are running a business or not, you plan to, after you finish your college, you decide, I don't want to work. I want to stay at home and spend time. You could be a man who thinks like that. You could be a woman who thinks like that. And that's totally fine. As long as you are able to support yourself, you are able to support those who depend on you, I would say that's totally fine.
I think that was a great definition of what your success means. And I hope it inspired our participants to some extent to define the success better, maybe. And now we'll be, concluding our session. So I would be just thanking the people who made this amazing session with you possible. So, as we thanked in the beginning, Thank you, the Executive Director, Father John Paliekara, Honorable Joint Director, Father Joy Payapalli, and the captain of our ship, the Principal, Dr. Sajeev John. And of course, special appreciation and greetings once again to you for coming to this session and making this a great success. And also, thank you to the Nodal Officer, Mr. Rahul Manohar, and the CEO of IEDC, Thomas Sibi, for making this session available to us. And thank you, participants, for joining this episode of Date. And stay tuned for the future installments. And please do fill in the feedback forms.
Yes, and special thanks to Sujijit for helping us connect with you for this to make it possible.
Thank you, ma'am. Hope you have a great day ahead.
Thank you, everybody. I wish you all the very best in life. And if there's any way I can help you, feel free to reach out. I'm pretty visible online, so it should not be a problem tracking me down.
Okay. So meanwhile, we have a small gift for you as a token of appreciation.
Thank you.
Just a minute, ma'am.
Sure. Oh, wow. Who drew that?
Who was one of the great artists?
Anaga. Her name is
Who
Anaga.
is part of a yeah.
Oh, Anaga, this is beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much.
It's definitely not enough to thank you for giving a great session, though.
Is she in this call?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Anaga. Thank you so much. You are really talented.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Can you please connect to me? I may have some projects for
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Of course.
Just find me on LinkedIn, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. This was really nice.
That's
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Once again, have a great day.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Once again, the feedback forms are available in the chat box. Do fill them.